I did not mean to have this stream scheduled for tomorrow. Should I? I've been chasing flies. It's like my dad goes to sleep, God bless him, but it's like if I leave the door open, I hate it here. And this fly keeps dancing, not dancing, but like going under my desk and then over, like right in my face. And I've literally tried everything to get out. So say hi to my friend. Okay, where am I? Can you tell I'm stalling? I don't like these topics. But I also don't like to watch people get dragged in the media. I'm drinking. This is not a laughing matter. But are we good? Are we? Hold up. Wait a minute. I also figured out how I can get this to stop wobbling, and I forgot to do that, but that's okay. There is a fix. There's the fix. But it involves an Allen wrench, which I don't have. Can I just use like a pencil? This fly. Okay. This is a serious topic. This is crime in general, deaths, suspicious deaths. Yeah. Amongst other things, are really controversial in the media. And I think mental health has to be the most poorly reported, but at the same time, it's also protected. So that's something that if you were ever to develop some sort of mental illness and kind of commit a crime, it's iffy. It wouldn't make the news. And so I talk about that a lot on this channel. I've been accurate about the Britney Spears stuff. I've been accurate about the girl on the plane. That man over there is not real. There was a few others that I was correct about. And I say correct because I suck at talking, okay? I don't have that much credibility here, but I have dealt with it. And it kind of ruined my life for 10 years. So if I could bring something good from it, this is going to be it. I pulled up, I just Googled law enforcement mental illness directive. You could Google a bunch of different things. It depends on your state. And I did pull up South Carolina, which I believe Pastor John and Mica are from. I might be wrong. But here's just wherever it is. This video is not intended to discredit abuse or anything of that sort. But so far, the person in question has not been charged. And just so many people are just like creating their own narratives. And we'll go over Rotten Mango's, sorry, I'm all over the place, Rotten Mango's version of the stories. And I just want to point out these very minute details that really matter. They really change everything. It's not meant to create like a war. It's just giving a perspective, take it or leave it. You don't have to do anything with it. Please be respectful because this is a recent death and it's been all over the media. But again, said persons has not been charged. People are saying that the FBI got involved, and usually that happens in these types of cases when a family wants to get information, and so they can't get it through law enforcement without Mica approving it, which obviously she can't. So the FBI will get involved to do a report so that the family can see it because both agencies don't actually communicate. I don't know why. They should. I think after come to think of it, maybe with the overturn of Chevron, that will become a thing. I never understood why they couldn't. I guess you could say to make sure that no corruption goes on in some regard, but I find it to be very inconvenient, especially when you're trying to catch somebody on the run, for instance, especially somebody that doesn't necessarily live here. Again, whatever. Okay, not the point. Not the point. But just because the FBI gets involved in stuff doesn't mean that there's something darker going on. It just means that they legally can't transfer documents to each other. So they take it upon themselves. You do have to have reasonable, it's like reasonable cause. I don't know what you would call it. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not in the FBI, but that could be as something as simple as a journal. It could be as simple as a testimony, the family being concerned. It could be anything really. It's not like for instance, Angelina Jolie just did one on Brad Pitt a couple months ago. They're in like this big dispute. And they got the FBI involved to find out like what was reported because Brad Pitt was never arrested for some like alleged abuse or whatever. So doesn't matter. Where is on my phone? I have it. Oh God, I'm recording on my phone. No. Okay. So I have the Illinois one because I live in Illinois. And it says Illinois State Police Directive ENF 019 responding to mentally ill persons. And the reason that I'm reading this is because you never hear about it. I haven't seen one creator talk about this at all. At all. Like if you're just like a tip, which I'm not, I don't do stuff in this realm, but if you really want to, if there's ever a mental health thing, you have to Google the state and the directive for it to understand what reports you're not seeing in the public. And they legally don't have to show you. Okay. Am I rambling? Are we good? Also, this video might trigger you, but your videos trigger me. And if there's one thing good that comes from this, it might be reassurance that there's less going on than you think there is. Because I know sometimes we get really caught up in that sort of thing. So, okay. The Illinois State Police, ISP, will provide guidance to sworn personnel for responding to persons suspected to be mentally ill. Responding to individuals in enforcement and related situations who are known or suspected to be mentally ill carries the potential for violence, requires officers to make difficult judgments about the mental state and intent of the individual, and requires special police skills and training to effectively and legally deal with the person as to avoid unnecessary harm and protect such person's civil rights. Given the unpredictable and sometimes violent nature of the mentally ill, officers should never compromise or jeopardize their own safety or the safety of others when dealing with individuals displaying symptoms of mental illness. In enforcement and related activities, officers are guided by state law regarding the detention of the mentally ill. 405 Illinois CS 5-1-100 Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities Code. 740 I'm not going to read all these dashes because I have a speech impediment, but the one that you're looking for, if you want to look more into this, is Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities Confidentiality Act. Mental illness 405, a mental or emotional disorder that substantially impairs a person's thought, perception of reality, emotional process, judgment, behavior, or ability to cope with the ordinary demands of life, but does not include a developmental disability like dementia or Alzheimer's, absent psychosis, a substance abuse disorder, or an abnormally manifested only by repeated criminal or otherwise antisocial conduct. Persons subject to involuntary admission on an inpatient basis. Part 1. A person with mental illness who, because of their illness, is reasonably expected, unless treated on an inpatient basis, to engage in conduct placing such person or another in physical harm or in reasonable expectation of being physically harmed. Part 2. Person with mental illness who, because of their illness, is unable to provide for their basic and physical needs as to guard themselves from serious harm without assistance of family or others unless treated on an inpatient basis, or a person with mental illness who, part 1, refuses treatment or is not adhering adequately to prescribed treatment, B, because of the nature of their illness, is unable to understand their need for treatment. And do you hear that? Ooh, freaky, freaky. Okay. If not treated on an inpatient basis, is reasonably expected based on their behavioral history to suffer mental or emotional deterioration and is reasonably expected after such deterioration to meet the criteria of either paragraph 1 or 2 of this section. Part 3. A person who would meet criteria for it. Sorry. Somebody keeps opening the door and no one's there. A person who would meet the criteria for admission on an inpatient basis as specified in section 1 in the absence treatment on an outpatient basis and for whom the treatment on an outpatient basis can only be reasonably ensured by court order mandating such treatment. A person with a mental illness, which, if left untreated, is reasonably expected to result in an increase of symptoms caused by the illness to the point where the person would meet the criteria for commitment under Section 1 through 119, and whose mental illness has, on more than one occasion in the past, caused that person to refuse needed and appropriate mental health services in the community. Pause. Certain mental disorders that I've personally dealt with, okay, I'm not a doctor. One of the hallmark symptoms is they don't know they're sick. We talk about it over here quite frequently. Quite frequently. It's called anosognosia, and it's lack of insight. A lot of those with either bipolar disorder with psychotic features, schizoaffective disorder, which is what my mom has. It's like schizophrenia, and a bipolar had a baby. And then you have schizophrenia. One of the hallmarks is that lack of insight. And with that lack of insight, they don't take meds. And you might be thinking, well, I don't take meds and I'm fine. It's not the same. We need to start calling it like a brain disease, because that's honestly what it is. If you stick with treatment, you can live pretty fulfilling lives. But for the ones that go extended amounts of time without treatment, the disease, it's like the disease gets more ingrained. I don't know, like every fixed false belief or delusion, you have it go in your brain once, and then every time you have that thought, it gets like deeper and deeper in your brain. I always do the marble and sand explanation. Head filled with sand, marble goes across. Medication can only bring you up a certain point. So people are like saying, oh, so and so forced medication. I could guarantee you in this country that that didn't happen. Maybe once, but the only time that they do that is if that person is violent with the nurse. Not making assumptions. I'm just saying Yeah, Lo. Come on, Lo. Come on, baby. Come on. Like, I see people that are like, "Oh, I'm super anti-meds and stuff," and it's just absolutely triggering. It really is. Yes, babe. Hold on. Yeah, baby. Hi, honey. Sorry about that. Oof. I have a feeling that's the first one of the night. Okay, let's keep going. I find this topic to be incredibly triggering, so sorry about my affect. Not trying to be smug. It's just that no matter what I say, like, people are just gonna, like, you don't fucking blah, blah, blah," and it's like, you know nothing. Literally nothing, so it just bothers me. But, okay. Like, it bothers me because the attitudes people have about this topic keeps those people from getting help. So we have to watch them die every day, like, very traumatic. And unfortunately, well, most are nonviolent. There's that small few that when you have enough psychosis or when you're going through a deep enough psychosis, like, their delusions come after us. So it's like, I'm at the point now where I don't get sad about it anymore, just more angry. Let's keep going. Okay, we read that. Yeah, babe. Come on. I guess we can start the video and I'll just read stuff periodically. And don't get mad, Tori. I'm getting mad. I shouldn't, but I am. Here we go. And this is also no hate on this creator. Like, to be honest with you, I can kind of get it. I please take do your own research. Take what I say, look it up. Just an idea. Okay.
Bada bing, bada boom.
A church in South Carolina has gone viral recently, even widely talked about on the national news, and it all starts with a few very strange sermons. A younger looking pastor by the name of Pastor JP is on stage giving a sermon. He says, "If you ever want to know what's going on in my life, it's always what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time. One day, I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do." I'm just kidding. I told you I shouldn't be here today. I shouldn't be here today. He holds both of his hands up like he's surrendering, and it's kind of the whole congregation laughs. But maybe it's a slightly uncomfortable laugh because
Actually, before we get started, we should read the comments. I know I wanted to do that first. Okay. Here's the comments. I have a dominant personality. Guess who else has a dominant personality? Satan, laughing my ass off. Bro, what? Honestly, even if she just deleted herself, he still murdered her. He made her life hell and pushed her to a breaking point. He is the reason she is dead. 8,000 likes. The fact that Allison tried to report JP's sexual abuse of minors to the police and the police said nothing could be done. What on earth? Okay. Imagine being married to that, is what he says at his wife's funeral. I cannot roll my eyes hard enough. He can't even contain the disgust he feels for her at the funeral, okay? The fact that this woman reached out to police for help multiple times and they outright refused to help her, but he was able so easily to get her admitted in a mental facility is actually terrifying. Oh, I'm getting triggered. I'm getting so triggered. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just like, I bet you Pastor John went through an insane amount of abuse. And if police are not acting on something, but you've been admitted to a hospital, it's safe to say that you've called them multiple times and they find out that you're spewing delusions and they can't take it seriously anymore. Okay, I'm getting triggered. Ignore my tone. The sexism, woman-hating, incel talk is so obvious. It's scary seeing people like this have a following. Laughing my ass off. The amount of linguistic gymnastics Stephanie has to do not to catch a lawsuit is insane. Oh my God. I'm from a smallish town and at one point was dating a boy very well connected to city officials. He ended up crashing my car while drunk with me in it, got arrested, and the charges were dropped. They completely disappeared like nothing happened, all with one phone call. So I fully believe JP was well connected on top of just being powerful himself. It would have been extremely easy to get murder covered up. Mica said, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it's not me, it's JP. She said that. Believe her. He met her when she was 15 and he was 29. You okay? You okay? Come on, mamas. You're okay. What was it? The fact can't be contested. We have a verdict, Your Honor. It's crazy to me that nobody has an issue commenting shit like this. Like, holy fuck. Like, with all due respect, all the commenters sound delusional to me because they're so ignorant. She should be the pastor. He took the abuse, so you don't have to. So why are you taking it? She's more of an inspiration. This is why I'm very humble opinion female pastors are better. He influenced her wrongful death. Doesn't matter if he physically did it. So originally, people were under the impression that he did it. And when they couldn't find proof of that, they now said that he drove her to do this. I swear to God. I won't even say that. I won't. Shut up, Tori. Okay, calm down. I'm also side-eyeing the people who attended these sermons faithfully. Now they're trying to convict the people in the church. Crazy. Marriage is like a gamble. Marry the right person, life's 10 times better. Marry the wrong person, your life becomes hell. The police failed every victim that man harassed and assaulted. They need to be held accountability as well as their abuser. Pastors like these bring shame to Christianity. They don't care about Jesus or God. All they care about is their egos and material wealth. Nice. I swear to God, if I end up dying by the hands of somebody with mental illness, please know that it was mental illness. Okay? Please. Or I will be rolling around in my grave. I'm serious. Okay, I'll shut up. Let's go back to the video.
Is there on his ring finger on his left hand is a wedding band. Pastor JP is talking about finding a hot wife that loves Jesus when he's already married to his wife, who is also very active in the church. It's just, it's weird. Not. It's humiliating for his wife. It sounds like he wants a new wife. Honestly, that's what it sounds like.
Like he has very weird humor? Is that what it looks like? Or he's not being serious?
It sounds like he's being a little serious, but he's trying to laugh it off.
And people don't know how to react.
Yes. It rubs a lot of people the wrong way, as it should. But that's not even what makes these sermon videos circulate all over mainstream media and on social media. It's not until a few weeks later, Pastor JP gives another sermon. Pastor JP is standing in front of his congregation where he says in this high-pitched, shaky voice, I got to lay next to her, spend time with her about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me.
I thought she was going to wake up. You know, I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week. And
what?
This sermon is from his wife's funeral after she was found dead in a national park. A sermon Pastor JP.
Okay, just like, I'm not going to judge people's body language, but that looks pretty emotional to me. But what do I know? I don't know for sure, but at a certain point, like, the feeling of watching somebody not get treatment, refuse, constantly have this fucking fly, constantly have delusions and whatnot. It's almost like a relief when they pass, which is a horrible thing to say. But the fact that that's such a horrible thing to say, I want you to consider what would draw you or what would bring you to the point where that's your conclusion. A lot of shit has to go down. A lot. Nonstop. And it's not just you. They go after women, children. I'm not saying this about her. Sorry, this fly is bothering me. I'm not saying this about her. I'm just saying this is like, I used to speak at these groups, and the stories are crazy. Like, they're all the same, and it's really sad. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can say without getting backlash from it. Like, well, shut up. Hold on.
He gives on how he tried to resurrect his wife from the dead because he couldn't believe it. But in that sermon, he fails to mention that she was in the process of separating from him. She had alleged that he groomed her since she was 15 years old, that he was allegedly having an affair with another woman from the church, and a long list of allegations of abuse that have been made against him.
Paranoid schizophrenia, or having some sort of mood disorder with psychotic features. The delusions and hallucinations can be relentless. And it's got like a eerie grossness to it, because like, you can take a family member and they will start saying that so-and-so is committing incest on them. I mean, it's really serious. Like the fact that these are allegations that she had said nonstop to family, but yet when they go to investigate, there's nothing. They're delusions. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take people's word for it. Absolutely. But when you don't find anything, that's probably why. Like, our country does really well protecting those, and like protecting the mentally ill from having this be all in the media. Like, you'll see a drunk driver, God forbid, and they blast it on the blotter, but you see somebody in a psychosis and they can look the same. Sometimes they look like they're on other drugs, to the point where most people think it's drugs in the beginning, so they don't realize they don't realize the treatment they need during like the prodromal. It's always a shock when you find out that they had no drugs in their system. That shit blindsides you. Absolutely blindsides you. It's crazy. But sorry, we'll keep going.
That was omitted from the sermon. This is the case of Mica Miller, and everyone wants to know, what exactly happened to the pastor's wife?
Hi, baby. Hi, honey. What do you need? Need something? You're okay. You're okay, honey.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Justice for Mica's GoFundMe. Her sister, Sierra Francis, has taken on the full-time job of managing the family's fight for justice. This GoFundMe campaign serves to assist the family with legal fees as they fight to get answers in what could be probably a very...
I know the trauma of how confusing a lot of this is, but I do need to say one thing. It's that my family member was a direct family member, and I have other family members who did not witness the stuff that I witnessed. And it was very obvious later when certain things would escalate that they would be ignorant as well. So just because the family, like my question is, how often did this family see her? Did they see her during the psychosis? Do they take her word for it? Because you don't have to sound crazy for it to be delusions. Like, it's very convincing and it's relentless. I'd be curious to know if there was a journal, because they will write the same thing over and over and over again, everywhere, on the walls, on the floor, on the car, on the floor in the garage, relentless, on the mailbox, on your bills, on your tax return, on your medical card. I mean, you name it, they write it. With all due respect, love you, I'm just saying. I like forget about these details. It's just so like ingrained. So forgive me.
Long, complicated
Fly.
judiciary and investigative process. All the GoFundMe information, where to donate. They even have t-shirts where the proceeds will go towards supporting the family. They have engraved bracelets, memorabilia, a gallery wall, tip line. Any and all of that information will be in the description. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team. We would also like to thank our listeners for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. A few quick disclaimers on today's case. Everything covered in the episode is what was available at the time that this episode was filmed. The investigation is still underway, meaning almost anything can change. We will do our best to keep you updated with possibly a pinned comment below if there's any major updates. However, we do encourage you to check Justice for Mica's webpage. They have an updates tab. As for content warnings, there is mention of self-exit, DV, allegations of SA, child SA, grooming, struggles with mental health, and brief mentions of religious trauma. The discourse surrounding religious trauma involves Christianity specifically. However, the events, behaviors, and even quotes from people involved in this case are inaccurate representations of Christianity as a whole. And one last disclaimer for today's case. There have been 0 charges, 0 convictions, even official persons of interest, let alone suspects in today's case. As of the date that this is published, the official manner of death has been ruled a self-exit with no foul play involved. All the following is alleged. The information is available online, netizen speculations, and in the States, you are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Some statements have been condensed for time, but these are all things to keep in your mind. This episode is also not to cast any suspicion on anyone or any parties in particular, nor is it made to sway your opinion on somebody. So with that being said, let's get started. A very bizarre video of the local pastor of South Carolina goes viral. This time it's not a sermon, but it is of Pastor JP. He's laying on the grass with his cheek up against the ground. His face is almost all smushed into the grass. It looks like he was about to get out of his car, but his whole body went limp and he dives face first into the grass. He's like half in his car, half on the grass. And it just looks like, for some reason, someone put super glue onto the grass because he's not getting up. His face is not moving. It feels like he's stuck in that position. His palms are just digging into the ground. The video is taken by a worried passerby who knew Pastor JP, but also knew that Pastor JP was recently upset because his wife was leaving him. He had 5 kids that were no longer going to have both parents in the house, and he was just going through a lot. The person recording asks, "What's the matter? Are you okay? What's the matter?" JP starts talking, and this JP stands for John.
I just want to say that this video came out after the entire thing blew up, even after the cause of death was ruled self-deletion. I saw videos of his so friends coming out with stuff like this. And this is just wrong. It's so wrong. There was one video where it was like, he asked me, do you think my wife's going to shoot me with a gun? She's trying to get a gun. And his response to the media was, well, why would she want to shoot him if he wasn't abusing her? I mean, it's absolutely insane. I swear to God, I feel like this is how I'm going to die, like full circle at the hands of it. Like, it's insane.
Oh, by the way.
How old is John Paul?
At this point, he's probably, okay, wait. It was 2015. He's 44 today. So like 34?
35?
Yeah, he's like 35 in the video.
Oh, wow.
JP starts talking in this incredibly high-pitched voice. It's so high-pitched, it sounds like he inhaled a helium balloon. I switched medications today. It makes me go crazy.
Okay. But you got Mark coming?
Okay, but you got Mark coming to help you, right? He continues to blubber between sentences and he starts sobbing. I feel these ants. They keep biting me everywhere. Is your medication something they gave you? Yeah, they were drunk. They were doing this in their days as they were something. There's ants all over me. It feels like there's ants on you?
Yes.
Still on the ground?
Yes. The pastor starts.
It's crazy to me that they find this to be peculiar, yet they didn't find the things that she was saying as peculiar. Jesus.
Crying in the grass, like this high-pitched whining sound. There's no ants on you, though. It's just, maybe that's how you feel, JP, but there's no ants on you. There's none on the grass. I'm gonna see Jesus. I'm gonna see Jesus. No. I just need to get to you, Jesus. I just need to get to you, Jesus. I just want it to happen quickly. I don't want anything to steal me. Don't look at them, please. Don't look at them, Jesus. I just want to be able to talk to them in bed at night. They're getting in my head now. I'm afraid. I just look at my room all day and look at the ceiling and I wonder what.
I have a feeling that she's reading a journal that Mica wrote. But that's not from the video.
What my kids are doing, what my wife is doing. I don't want my mom anywhere near. They're crazy. I want to get off medication, and this is what it does. They're crazy. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't do nothing. I feel like ants in my eyes. I can't open up my eyes.
Like, sounds like he's under something?
Yeah, there were allegations. Okay, from a third-party perspective, I'm not saying this is what happened, but considering the religious context, some people say that he looks possessed. Some people say it looks like a drug psychosis. Some people say it looks like a mental breakdown. But it's definitely not.
When my family member went through it, I had ran through every possible idea that I was like, I need to get a priest here to do an exorcism. It 1000% looks like that. But I feel like that video was taken out of context because if I remember, they were laughing and he was drunk. But whatever, doesn't fit the narrative, but it is what it is.
Not normal behavior at all. Now the pastor goes completely.
It's so creepy, the behavior, that they will have full-on dilated pupils and no drugs in their system. And they will stare at you with like a cocked look like that and like laugh randomly. And you like ask them and they just stare at you in the very early stages. It's very scary. I was just waiting to be lunged at, honestly. So freaky. And like, I'm not trying to make fun of mental illness. This is just the reality of it that I feel like people don't really hear about. Because if we were too honest, it's like making fun of mental illness. And that's not what I'm doing, ever.
Completely silent, almost catatonic silent, just laying there breathing. And the neighbor starts zooming in on his face. It seems like either Pastor JP is losing it or perhaps in some sort of, like I said, psychosis. The video itself.
I did develop PTSD. So again, the video that I saw, it was laughing. They were drunk, but it doesn't sound like it right now.
Is very alarming and just unsettling, bizarre. I'm not even sure what the right word for it is. It's just a very strange video.
Also, psychosis, I believe it's actually a manifestation of like many positive symptoms, not negative, not to be confused with like good and bad, but positive is adding something to the behavior. So almost like manic, like taking all the furniture out of the house has like superhuman strength. You're like, what in the what is that? Like up and moving. There is catatonia, but the catatonia is like that to me could be interpreted as intoxication or passing out. Catatonia is like being wide awake and stuck in a specific like position for long periods of time, like that head cocking that I was talking about. So I don't know if catatonia was the best word.
Made even more strange by
knows?
the fact that this is a pretty well-known pastor in South Carolina that's the subject of this video. But the timing of this video being posted onto Facebook and the caption that is uploaded along with it makes the video even more intriguing. The video was posted onto Facebook May 10th of this year, 2024, a few weeks after Pastor JP's wife was found dead in a national park. The caption,
That's not true. That video was taken years ago. Unless we have different information.
reads, I believe the saying goes, getting a taste of your own medicine. And I mean that quite
That's not even him. Who is that? Is that him?
literally. You have used and abused for way too long, JP, only to get up on that pulpit and consistently discredit
Wait,
your
who was
victims by
that?
airing out intentionally degrading and inappropriate personal information. Doing that allows you to control the narrative. Now we have the death of your wife that you claim only took her life because of mental illness. Fact is, JP, nobody was ever mentally ill until they met you. You are the common denominator in all of this. This video is only proof that you yourself have issues and you know what medication can do to someone.
It's the disease. Oh my God, I'm so fucking triggered. I'm literally so triggered. How old was Mica? 30? No, that was on par with when it usually develops. I've had said person lay down in front of my car, get out of my car, lay down in front of it like a four-thing intersection, screaming at me to run over them. I've had them put the wheel or put their foot on the accelerator while I'm driving and veer it off into semis. I've walked in when they had Satan marks. They don't know Satan. They don't know that shit. Satan marks, drinking acetone, vomiting it. I've seen them try to set things on fire. I've seen them jump off of buildings trying to commit, I've seen them. I've tried to get them admitted, couldn't find them, and realized they ran to the park where the train station was to lay down on those tracks. Had to bolt that way. Got there before the cops even did. So I'm just gonna say no. No, that's incorrect.
JP, I could have done this anonymously, meaning the poster could have posted this video anonymously. But I want you to see it's coming from me, so you don't go after anybody else. You know I've got receipts.
Also, I know that the parents were against the medication. I bet you if they encourage the medication, that it's not amazing, but it can get rid of like commanding voices. It might still, and I don't know what her diagnosis is, but from my experience, the bipolar portion of it shows up a little bit earlier, spending a lot of money, stealing stuff. Like, I'm not saying she did that, but the voices and stuff comes later. It's pretty sad. And a lot of people on TikTok will say things like, well, look at Britney Spears, the chemical lobotomy. No, that's the disease. How do I know that? Because I know said person never took the medication and it looks the same. So medication is only there to help you. Like, it's misinformation for people to act like this chemical lobotomy. Even doctors who are not mental health, not psychiatrists, they'll be like, let's say, like, I don't know, the doctor of a nose, like a plastic surgeon saying stuff like this. It is so ingrained in people's beliefs, one side or the other. And until you witness it, it's like, I remember being absolutely shocked at I don't even remember what she said to me. It was a nurse in the psychiatric unit, but I was just like, I said something like, aren't doctors supposed to help? Like, she's like, you want to help? Go into law. And it like always stuck with me. It's like, if you really want to help people, you have to go into law, because people like slip through the cracks because there's nothing doctors can do. They can't force medication on you. The only time they can do that is if that person is violently attacking like nurses and stuff. And it happens more often than it doesn't. I know we want to say that they're nonviolent, but I'll never forget being in the two-way mirror, and I thought said person was in a blanket because they were cold, only to find out it was a straitjacket. Talk about traumatic. Like, we need reform. It's horrible, but like this idea that medication, drugged up on lithium, whatever I hear, it makes me want to off myself, honestly.
And you know, I'm not scared. I have never met anyone like you. But what I've learned is, and what I've been taught is, people like you repeat their behavior, and every so often they slip up and show who they really are.
Thank you.
Solid Rock Church. Let me introduce you to your pastor. You don't see this version on Sundays.
Right.
This is the guy that you allow to give you and your family counsel. The guy you share your personal vulnerable information with that he will use against you when and if you question him. To the ones who are the reason that I'm involved in all of this, I hope you understand why I had to do this. Enough is enough. Some want to raise awareness and most want justice. Well, Godspeed, JP. If you know, you know. Internet, do your thing. Hashtag justice for Mica and many others.
I
So the
hate it
video was
here.
taken in 2015,
Yes.
and in 2024.
Wait. That video was taken in 2015, and she literally said it was posted on, oh, maybe she meant the brother or somebody posted it, because that was not him. It said Ty. Yeah, when something tragic happens, people just try to find answers. I don't fault them for it. It's just like the same, like that grief and trying to find answers, like those that have dealt, and I'm talking in the home with them, they were dealing with that for months. It was chronic every day. So it absolutely triggers me when like just there's like I can't get mad, but it's like they're so sure. And I'm like over here, like I'm so sure it's this way. And like, who the fuck am I? But I feel it like it was yesterday.
This year, Mica passed away.
Yes.
And then a few weeks later, video was posted.
Yes.
Do you know who posted it?
A neighbor and someone that I guess is familiar with the church. And this is the caption that he posts along with it. So at first, when Mica passed away, it seems like the news was very much retained in that local area of South Carolina. And slowly as things start developing, such as this Facebook post, it becomes national news because it's so cryptic. What does this mean?
Yeah.
I mean, people are just trying to figure out, like, what the hell is going on in that small church in South Carolina? What did Pastor JP do? Pastor JP's wife filed for divorce October 2023. In the divorce document, she claims that her husband, Pastor JP, cheated on her multiple times.
Oh my Lord. I want to see more evidence for it, but infidelity, someone's out to get you, religious delusions, looking for a gun. Well, that's not a delusion. That's like, they really do. The amount of texts I got from people I hadn't spoke to in like 20 years. So-and-so's looking for a gun. And you know how you get them off the gun list? They have to commit an act of harm, and that person has to has to press charges. People don't want to press charges on those that are mentally ill, but at a certain point you do. But it's just like a little bit. I'll shut up. This
affidavit sent to her attorney, she writes, "Since the day we became husband and wife, I have been abused in every way I can think of, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, financially, and physically. He has harassed me physically and electronically with letters."
Hold on. He's harassed me physically and electronically.
Phone calls, emails, and texts. He's hacked into my emails, hacking my personal Facebook, and impersonating me, using my stolen phone to send texts and emails out to church members pretending to be me, texting friends and family saying that I'm sleeping with teenagers from our church, and showing up in person at places around town.
This sounds like a hallucination. If I'm like, is it possible Sure, but why is he on your phone? And like that stuck out to me because those that know that they crash, chuck, break any possible electronic device. So did you break his phone? Why was he on yours? Was it the only one? What? I'm serious, y'all. Like, I'm not trying to say that like she didn't experience stuff, but like enough is enough. Saying that you're sleeping, I know it sounds so morbid, but that's like the nature of it. It's, oh my God, if I can't even, I would get so thrown off YouTube if I played a video so you guys could see it. Like, maybe I'll do it on my Substack because I don't think it matters over there. Like, I don't think I could get in trouble for racism, hate speech, child endangerment, or child PDF file language happening to them, but not like them looking. But I mean, it like, and we need to like be more honest about it because at this point, it's just so out there that people can't wrap their heads around it, and the only possible person at fault is the man, and that shouldn't be the case. Like, sometimes the people that we cast as villains end up being the heroes all along. Jamie Spears. Just saying.
He has installed 3 different tracking devices on my vehicle. This was sent to her attorney 9 days before Mica Miller, the wife, would be found dead in a marsh.
What day? When was she found?
April 27th. 4 days after her death, sources state that Pastor JP was out seen at a bar with his alleged mistress. Pastor JP decides to have a premarital sermon series. This was a while back before his wife passed.
I'd be curious to know if that girl, whatever it is, I'd be curious to know that if she ever dealt with somebody with mental illness, or some sort of ambiguous loss where the person's still physically there, but they're mentally gone. Just that's literally the only people I talked to during that time. Just
these
saying.
are sermons every couple should be ministered before getting married. This is like the most valuable lesson of marriage and being in a relationship that he can pass on to his congregation. The sermon was going to be broken up into 2 different parts. One would be about every man's battle in a marriage. The other would be about every woman's battle in a marriage. That's what he titled them. During the man's battle sermon, he starts off by saying, every man's battle is looking at things that do not belong to us and lusting after those things.
How can you tell a loose woman just by the way she looks?
If she doesn't wear a bra, or if her bathing suit in the back barely covers up her crack. And if every picture on social media is either in a bikini or showing off her chest, that's how a man can tell if a woman is loose. So if your daughter dresses like that, I don't want to say be ashamed because that's not godly. If your daughter dresses like that, you need to be convicted of it and teach her how to be a modest girl and a modest woman, because every unsaved man in the entire world is looking to see bra, bikini, thongs, and what she shows on Facebook. That's how you can tell a loose one. And every man in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's why all of our faces are so red right now. Listen, ladies, you don't want a man to want you for what you look like and what you're flaunting off. Listen, once you lose that body, you're going to lose the man. He also states that there are 3 reasons why a married couple does not have healthy intimacy. The 3 reasons are, number 1, there's an explicit video addiction somewhere in the marriage. One of them is addicted to porn. 2, there's a negative or unkind spouse, because a man would rather, unfortunately, this is sick and sad, a man would rather have a computer screen than a woman who's unkind and nagging and fault finding and negative. I mean, in a heartbeat. And most men,
they said she had 5 kids. I'd be curious to know how old the youngest one is. Like, postpartum psychosis is no joke. Like, that's one of the reasons I don't want to have kids, because I'm vulnerable to that. Even though I've never had psychosis, I've had PTSD. So treated, but still. Something interesting about psychosis is if you don't take medication, you keep going and going. Psychosis can last from anywhere to a couple weeks to a couple months to maybe a year or more. Sad. It's sad. And unfortunately, if you don't have some sort of medical directive, like, we can't get you there. You jump out of moving cars at 65 miles per hour. Like, it's sad. They have to be a harm to themselves or others, and that's a very vague way of putting it. It is. So it's sad. I'd be curious to know how old their youngest is.
rather have a computer or a phone than a woman who's always fussing and griping about something. Or the third reason, homosexual struggles. Yeah.
Wow.
But there's a way to fix that, he says. That means every wife in here is in a very powerful position. You're in a position of, you've got great responsibility. If you make excuses, if you're negative, okay, I promise you, Satan has a computer image right around the corner. Don't refuse to each other. Do you know that you can actually help your husband in the area not be tempted by you being a giver in this area? That's amazing. Amazing. That's why when you walk as a married couple, you make sure both of you are 100% satisfied. He also tells the wives to not speak too much about their husband's failures or else he will never open up. He says, if you say to a man, you did such a good job painting that wall, he hears success, success, success. I love you. I'm attracted to you. Success.
Hold on. I want to pause it and see what my dog wants because she keeps crying. I don't want to play it when I'm not here. So hold on. Literally, I don't know what she wants. I think she just wants to play. I gave her some peanut butter, but she gulps that up, okay? So I might have to leave and do the rest of this tomorrow, but I'm going to try to get through more of it.
I want you, success. If you say you never pick up your socks off the ground, failure, failure, failure. I've worked 40 hours this week. I'm paying the bills and I take care of the kids. And that's what you want to bring up? My socks, that I'm a failure? I don't want you. Get out of my life. That's how a man's going to feel. You have to be very careful when you talk to a man to make him a success. He says one of his favorite pastors had once said, if a man knows when he fails, he will be seen as a failure, he will never repent. He will never change and never be healed. But if a man knows when he fails that there's somebody there who will pray for him, give him counseling, encourage him, and get him restored, that man will step forward and repent every single time. He says, I want every wife in here to know that if your husband faithfully tithes, which means he has financial wisdom. Tithing is offering. You give money to the church. To the church he owns, by the way. I want every wife in here to know if your husband faithfully tithes, which means he has financial wisdom, if he serves in church and he's willing to do whatever it takes to be free from pornography, he is in the top 1% of men in the entire world. Hallelujah. Now, he may eat Doritos in bed. He may leave his dirty drawers hanging around in the living room. I don't know. But he may have some other issues in there. But for heaven's sake, shut your mouth and love that man. And thank God he's in the 1% of men. The next week was a segment for Every Wife's Battle. During the Every Wife's Battle, he asks the crowd what they think every woman's battle is. And they finally start responding out loud. And he jokes, it's obviously your mouth. No, I'm joking. Calm down. The truth is,
He's not wrong. I just don't know what this has to do with anything. Like, I don't like when, like, it's like find something that's going to make people, like, nobody had an issue with him until people literally took this to the media and, like, sensationalized it. It's really sad, honestly. It's like, this is why it's so important. Words. Like, these are the moments. Words are so important. It matters what you say. Okay. Loki needs me. Okay. I'm a bitch, but I'm not a bad dog mom. Okay. We'll finish this if she goes to bed in the next 30 minutes, but if she doesn't, then we'll do it in the daytime tomorrow. So thanks. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Hold on. Where am I? Oh, no. Okay.